Hi, I'm Casey from ecfirst. Welcome to our presentation on CMMC, Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification for executives and organizations such as defense industrial base contractors, as well as professionals. We'll take a look at the CMMC model and components, as well as how long an organization might need to become ready for an assessment. So on the screen in front of you, you have the Department of Defense CMMC ecosystem. On the left, you have CMMC assessments. On the right, you have CMMC certification trainings. And I just really quickly want to draw your attention to the graphic on the bottom left of the CMMC certification training, Certified CMMC Professional. The journey for CMMC really does start with knowledge acquisition and becoming literate in CMMC. So becoming a certified CMMC professional really does make you an expert in CMMC. And an organization looking to become certified can really greatly benefit from having one or more CCPs on their team that can help guide the path for the rest of the team in that CMMC effort. So just something to note as a starting off point for any organization. On our agenda, we'll look at why CMMC, CMMC framework, what does CMMC secure, the ecosystem model, getting started with CMMC, its methodology, the certification training program, and office source documents. So why CMMC? Well, for the Department of Defense, for many clear reasons, cybersecurity is a very high priority. The Defense Industrial Base, or the DIB, is the target of more and more complex cyber attacks. So to answer that, the Department of Defense developed the CMMC 2.0 program to protect American ingenuity and national security information. It helps reinforce the importance of the DIB cybersecurity for safeguarding the information that supports and enables our warfighters, and also securing our nation's supply chain. Malicious actors continue to target the DIB sector and the supply chain of the Department of Defense. CMMC answers that and includes cyber protection standards that aim to protect the DIB from being damaged by advanced persistent threats, or APTs. CMMC provides a cybersecurity framework for enforcement of DFARS requirements, or Defense Federal Acquisition Regulation Supplement requirements, to protect federal contract information and controlled unclassified information. And those are just the first of many important acronyms that we'll go through that are important to learn for CMMC. DFARS requirements for cybersecurity invoke NIST Special Publication 800-171, which contains 110 information security control requirements, and they are all encapsulated in 14 different domains within NIST. And CMMC really is built on NIST. So that's kind of important to remember when learning about CMMC and the assessment process and all of the requirements and objectives. So what is CMMC? Well, it's the next step in cybersecurity requirements for defense contractors, subcontractors, and their suppliers. A United States Department of Defense certification process, which is designed to protect sensitive data shared within the United States Defense Industrial Base. It also incorporates a set of cybersecurity requirements into acquisition programs. And as you can see below, what is our goal for CMMC? To validate safeguards and practices to provide increased assurance that contractors and subcontractors are continually meeting CMMC requirements. And here we have the CMMC framework, which I like to look at as kind of different pieces of a mission statement, right? So we have safeguard sensitive information that enables us to protect the warfighter, just like we mentioned earlier. enforce DIB security standards to meet those ever-evolving threats, ensure accountability while minimizing barriers to compliance with Department of Defense requirements, perpetuate a collaborative culture of cybersecurity and cyber resilience, and maintain public trust through high professional and ethical standards. So who developed the CMMC framework? It's really important to kind of ask that question and know where it came from and where all of these efforts originated from. So the very unique acronym that you have on your screen, OUSD-ANS, or the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Acquisition and Sustainment, developed the CMMC framework in concert with DoD stakeholders, UARCs, or University Affiliated Research Centers, FFRDCs, or Federally Funded Research and Development Centers, and the defense industrial base sector as a whole. So our next acronym that's really important to understand is Organization Seeking Certification, or OSC. Now, this term is used more so on the Department of Defense side, but any organization looking to become certified in CMMC is considered an organization seeking certification. They can achieve a specific CMMC level for enterprise network or for a particular segment or enclave, depending on where the information to be protected is handled and stored within that organization. So what could happen if I'm not prepared, or if the organization isn't prepared for the CMMC mandate? Well, organizations that don't meet CMMC level requirements for a given contract will not be able to bid. Subsequently, of course, the organization loses revenue. So preparing for CMMC for the mandate is really vital, and allotting enough time. Some say 6 to 9 months. It could take longer just to be ready for a CMMC assessment. So very, very important to ensure that the organization is prepared. How is CMMC different from NIST Special Publication 800-171? Well, NIST Special Publication 800-171 is a set of standards for protecting and distributing sensitive material. It serves as a baseline for the CMMC framework. And like I mentioned before, CMMC is literally built on NIST. So CMMC focuses on assessments, both from companies and from certified third parties, to give increased assurance that companies are satisfying the cybersecurity requirements outlined in NIST Special Publication 800-171 in that baseline, which is a perfect way to phrase it. NIST is the baseline for CMMC. What does CMMC secure? So two of the acronyms that we spoke about earlier, first being FCI, Federal Contract Information. It's information provided by or generated for the United States government under contract and not intended for public release. And then we have CUI, or Controlled Unclassified Information. Information that requires safeguarding or dissemination controls pursuant to and consistent with applicable law, regulations, and government-wide policies, but is not classified under Executive Order 13526 or the Atomic Energy Act as amended. So these are really important for OSCs to understand because they'll have to determine if they are processing, transmitting, storing either one of them. So some authorities, organizations, and individuals within the CMMC ecosystem. So authorities, of course, important to be aware of. Office of the Undersecretary of Defense, the Cyber AB, CMMC assessors and instructors, certification organizations. Under organizations, we have, of course, the OSC, the Organization Seeking Certification, We have the C3PAO, the CMMC third-party assessment organization, registered practitioner organizations, licensed publishing partners, licensed training providers. And at the individual level, we've got registered practitioners, provisional assessor and instructor, certified CMMC professional, assessor and instructor, assessment team member, and lead assessor. So I know a bunch more acronyms to throw at you, but they're really important to understand. You need to know where you're aligned with as well, and where your organization is aligned. When will CMMC take effect? It's expected to begin being phased in during 2023, but CMMC 2.0 is expected to be fully implemented by 2025. So these are important dates to note, as the organization needs to allot time for readiness, which, like I said before, some say 6 to 9 months. It can take longer than that. CMMC 2.0 will not be a contractual requirement until the department completes rulemaking to implement the program. The rulemaking process and timelines can take up to 24 months, which is where we get our timeline over to the left. And CMMC 2.0 will become a contract requirement once rulemaking is completed. So just some timelines to be aware of if the organization is looking to be assessed. So here we have the CMMC model. Like I said before, it's important for the organization to know if they're processing FCI or CUI. And this is the reason why. So FCI, federal contract information, if an organization is only dealing with FCI, then they're looking to be assessed at a foundational or basic level, or level 1. That would require an annual self-assessment, and they'd only be assessed against 17 of the 110 practices. So a little less involved than, per se, level 2. Level 2, also referred to as advanced. This organization would also process CUI, or controlled unclassified information. The organization would then be assessed against all 110 practices that are aligned with NIST Special Publication 800-171. And a level 2 assessment would also require a triennial third-party assessment for critical national security information. So level 1, annual self-assessment; level 2, triennial assessment. And then we have level 3, also referred to as expert. This organization would be assessed against 110 plus practices based on NIST Special Publication 800-172. They would also undergo a triennial assessment. However, their an expert level 3 assessment is a government-led assessment. So these are the main differences between the 3 levels. So how does an organization seeking certification get started with CMMC? So I know I mentioned it before, but the first place to start during that knowledge acquisition phase is, what information does my organization handle? Does it process? Does it transmit? Does it store? Federal contract information or controlled unclassified information? Why is that important? Because it literally answers our next question. What level of certification is to be achieved? Level 1, level 2, or level 3? And that all starts with determining whether you're handling FCI or CUI. Have you developed a system security plan? The system security plan is known as the foundation for a CMMC assessment. It includes all 14 domains, of course, depending on which level you're being assessed against, but the 14 domains, 110 practices, which, by the way, include 320 assessment objectives that must be followed to be in compliance. So the SSP really is the foundation, and it also helps determine how to align your policies and procedures with CMMC. So it really all starts with the system security plan, and then that helps guide your directions for how your organization does certain things, and then your procedures, your step-by-steps for each assessment objective. CMMC methodology. So methodology for getting started, getting organized. Once again, first step, knowledge acquisition, becoming CMMC literate. It's so important. It sets the tone for the rest of the steps. You next have scoping. Again, deciding FCI or CUI. Are we being assessed against level 1, level 2, level 3? Your SSP, your system security plan. Again, your foundation for your assessment. Policy, procedure, and evidence. All to be, again, aligned with CMMC and those assessment objectives of each practice. Your readiness period. Ensuring that all of your documents, all of your evidence are sufficient for a CMMC assessment. And then throughout that process, of course, you're going to identify certain things that need remediation or mitigation. And then you can go through your remediation period where you're ameliorating your certain aspects that need to be better aligned. And then, of course, that brings you to your assessment. So the Department of Defense CMMC certification training program. Like we mentioned in the beginning, certified CMMC professional, that's your CCP, your CMMC expert, one or more of them within the organization to help guide the CMMC journey for the whole team, for the whole effort, and certified CMMC assessor. Both are offered by ecfirst, whether public, virtual, or on-site classes. But they're really great jumping off points to really get to know CMMC and understand all of its aspects, its model, its methodology. It covers all. CMMC office source documents. In front of you is the Chief Information Officer, the United States Department of Defense. It's their website. CMMC documentation, these are links to a bunch of different documents that are incredibly important, incredibly informative. So you have a model overview of the CMMC model, a spreadsheet and mapping to different regulations, a link to a CMMC glossary. And I know I told you how important it is to know all those different acronyms, all those different definitions, because there are certain definitions that are so specific to CMMC. Scoping guidance, whether it's level 1 or level 2, will walk you through the scoping process for your assessment, and assessment guides to walk you through the actual assessment period. So you have your level 1 self-assessment, level 2 assessment, and level 3, which as of right now is still under development. And once again, the acronyms that I keep mentioning. So you have different organizations, you have research centers, you have different types of information being processed, you have individuals and their certifications, all incredibly important to help you just get through those source documents as well, without having to go back and double check what an acronym means. So it's really helpful to just be familiar with them off the jump. So as you can see on your screen, we at ecfirst have developed a portal for CMMC called Tracer. It can be leveraged for CMMC readiness and help you on the path to verification. And remember, as we discussed earlier, CMMC literacy really is key, making CCP the clear first step. So if you had any questions, definitely reach out to us at any time. You can email Chris Laidley at chris.laidley@ecfirst.com, or go and visit www.ecfirst.com and just reach out with any questions. And so thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us today. And we look forward to collaborating with you on your CMMC journey. Thank you.